Hey, Elizabeth here from Mr. Sizemore's English 1302 online class. For this video, I'll be talking about chapter 25, which is fixed poetic forms, and it goes from pages 831 to 879. So it's a pretty lengthy chapter. It took me a while to finish reading. But for this video's example, the poetic form that kind of caught my eye was the elegy. It's pretty much the opposite form of a limerick, because a limerick is comical, it's bright, it's usually happy with rhymes and all that stuff. It's interesting to read. But the eulogy is a poem of lamentation, memorializing the dead, or contemplating some nuisance of life's melancholy. So from that definition, it doesn't seem like a very happy poem or poetic form. And that definition was on page 860, and on the page 861 right next to it, it's a poem titled "To an Athlete Dying Young." There's a couple of verses in this poem that, you know, kind of give you the idea that it's at somebody's funeral. Like stanza 1, line 4, it says, "And home we brought you shoulder high." So I'm just imagining that's the people that carry the casket. They're carrying the casket to where the burial ground is. Stanza 2, line 3, it says, "And set you at your threshold down." So, setting the casket into the ground, I suppose. Stanza 4, it says, "Eyes the shady night has shut, cannot see the record cut, and silence sounds no worse than cheers, after earth has stopped the ears." Now, this poem rhymes too, just like a limerick, but it's just not as cheery as a limerick. It's sad. It's about death. But that stanza just pretty much talks about how you can't hear or see anything anymore because you're gone. I usually have a really hard time understanding poetry, what it's about. It takes me a couple of times to read it, but after reading that poem for the first time, it pretty much just clicked what it was about. It's just so obvious it's about a funeral and death. And the title even, it's "To an Athlete Dying Young." And that was by A.E. Hausman.